Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Fusion node breakdown. Today's node is the Shape Text node. So we're going to jump into Fusion and we're going to bring in an sText node. And the sText node is pretty much the same as the Text 3D node we went over. And I'm just realizing we did not go over the Text Plus node yet. I will. But it's pretty much exactly the same thing as the standard Text Plus node as well. The only two differences between this node and the Text Plus node is you cannot use gradient colors on the shape text, and you're required to have a shape render because the Text Plus node cannot be used in the shape system like we can with the shape text and other shape nodes like the shape ellipse, the shape rectangle, and use all those fun things like the shape boolean and all that stuff. So to be able to see this, we need our shape render. And we're going to bring that in and input it. So jumping into the node, up here we've got our text box, so we can type in shape text. And we've got our text. And down here, we can select whatever font we want. And just as a reminder, this is any fonts on your system. So if you're collaborating with your little project here, make sure whoever is going to be using it has the same font. So package them up and send them with them, because if they don't have it, it'll default to the standard font on their system. But all the other settings will remain the same. So down here, we can select our different font types for that specific font. We can change our color. We can change our size. We can change the tracking, which is the distance between our individual fonts. We can change our line spacing. We can change our vertical anchor from top, center, or bottom, as well as adjust it independently. And we can vertically justify if there's any differences in there, and that's just going to justify vertically. And you have your horizontal anchor, whether it's left, center, or right, and you can adjust it independently. And if you have any justification here on your horizontal, it's going to justify that to fit it in there evenly. And under direction, we have auto, horizontal, reversed horizontal, vertical, or reversed vertical. And as a reminder, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the 3D text. If any of your fonts leave your domain of definition, you'll get this little green border. That's what that means. If it's hitting that domain of definition, it's going to let you know it's outside of that realm. So you can see that changing green. If I change my font color to a darker one, you can see that changing green as I enter that domain of definition, giving us a warning. There we go. A little glitchy sometimes. So there. And down here we have our line direction, whether it's top down, bottom up, or automatic. We can add emphasis on it, which is a straight through or underlined or both. And we can adjust our right on right here, so we can animate this to right on over time if we want. And then under our tab spacing, this is where we would create any tab spacing, just like you would say in like Word or whatever, when you're creating your tabs to tab over. You can have different justifications for your tab selections, and you can change your position and your alignment. And under your advanced controls, this is for all you graphic font people out there. If you're not a font professional, I would just leave these as standard, but right here you can have your reading direction changed from left to right or right to left or auto. You can force monospace. You can use font kerning, And you can change your ligatures to non-Latin, all scripts, or none. And you can select split ligatures if you need to. And stylistic sets, you can change them if you have them assigned. And you can add font features if you need to, as well as clearing all your manual kerning and manual positioning. Under layout, we have a few types of our layout. And by default, it's at point, which means it's right here in the center. And under that, we can change our center on the X to Y. We can change our center Z location. We can change our size. We can change the perspective if we do any changes, so that perspective takes effect. And down here we have the X, the Y, and the Z rotation. And again, once you have all those rotations in there, your perspective will be applicable, so you can change that perspective. And your other type is you have a text box, so you can adjust your text box so it'll fit in there. And under that, we have wrap to text box, so it automatically wraps. We have clipped text box if you want it to clip out. And you can change the X, the Y, and your center Z. You can change your size, the width of the box, the height of the box. You can also do that in your little gizmo. And again, you can change your perspective once we change some perspective up. And down here, we can change the X, the Y, and the Z rotation. Under circle is going to give you a circle path that the text is going to be on. And we can change the size of our circle in our little gizmo. We can also change the X and the Y position, the center Z. We can change the size, the width, the perspective. And under here, we can fit characters to adjust spacing to fit. We can have none, adjust it horizontally, or adjust the entire size to fit. And here we can rotate on the X, the Y, and the Z. Under path, we can create a path for our text to follow. And let's go ahead and smooth those out. And then we can change our center on the X and the Y and our center Z location. We can change the size. We can change the perspective once we make some changes, and we can change the position on the path. So you can animate this to follow the path. And we can change our X, our Y, and our Z rotation. Let's go back to point. Under our transform, this is where we transform our individual characters or our words or our lines. So anytime we make any changes, first you want to select what you're transforming. And you have the option to change your characters, words, and lines independently. So whatever I'm on right here, all these will affect that change. So right now we're on characters, so we can affect the space of the characters. We can offset. We can offset on the Z. And we can rotate on the X, on the Y, and the Z. And then we can change independently how our words are transformed. So we can transform the spacing of our words if we had spacing. On the X, the Y, and the Z, we can offset it, as well as rotating in on the X, the Y, and the Z. So notice the difference. When we're on our words, our entire words are rotating. And if we're on characters, only our characters are independently rotating. So that's the difference. And we can also do that by lines. So we can change our line spacing. We can offset on the X, the Y, and the Z. And we can rotate on the X, the Y, and the Z. And with all these, we can also change our pivot. So we can change our pivot location. We can change our shear on the X and the Y. We can change our size on the X and the Y. And again, these are all independent for each transform type. Under our shading tab, we have multiple elements we can select. So how this works, each shading element, we can assign different elements and turn them on and off. So this is how you're going to affect the look of your font. So right now we've got, say, a blue. So we can change this to blue solid fill so we know what it is. And we can enable it or disable it. And down here we can sort by priority, distance, or Z position. And that is dictated on our position. So once we add more, we'll jump back into this priority and I'll show you how that works. So down here, you can change your opacity under your properties. You can change your blending mode, whether it's composite, transparent, or solid. And you can change your appearance, whether it's solid, outlined. Shape filled is going to fill your entire font area shape, or it's going to outline your font area shape. And then down here, we can change our color. Leave it blue since we named it blue. And you can change your RGB and alpha independently. And assign your priorities, which we will come back to. Additionally, we can change our rotation, and this is different than our transform rotation. So if you notice, we can't change independently whether it's the character or the actual word or the line. This is just changing the rotation of that specific font element. So we can change the rotation on the X, the Y, and the Z. We can change our pivot on the X, the Y, and the Z. We can shear it again on the X, the Y, and the Z. And we can change our size. And these come in handy if you have multiple styles you want for the same text. So if you want one to be a little bolder or one to be italic. So you can shear on your X if you want. So you can assign one to one element, the same exact text with a different shear to element 2. So that's the point to these pivots and rotations. It's not necessarily to change your entire shape, it's to affect how you want that font to look. So you can make multiple elements for the same font. So if I need to assign a different element, say an outline, I can enable this, and now I have an outline. And let's make this a white outline. And again, we can come down here and change our settings to get the look we want. So if I want it white, I can change it white. I can change the line thickness. I can also change the appearance if I want a different look. And down here, we've got extra little selections for adapt to our perspective. So for changing our perspective, that'll make sure that changes with our font. I can select outside only, or I can select clean intersections, which means if this is intersecting different fonts, it's not going to create outlines over outlines. And down here, we can change our join style to change up our different miter styles for the look we want. We can change our line style, whether we want it solid, dashed, dotted, dash dot, or dash dot dot. And down here, we can change our color. And again, we can change the position of all this fun stuff. And this is where this priority comes in. If I'm changing my priority, you notice it says priority, I'm moving it back. It's just kind of like in any paint program where you're moving your layers back or front. This is where this comes in play. So if you got multiple layers, you can change your numbers to assign them to the back or to the front. And same with your distance and your Z position. If you change those, your Z position will dictate your offset of what's in front and what's in back. And again, we have our rotation that's independent of our other element, as well as the pivot on the X, the Y, and the Z. And the shear on the X and the Y. And we can change our size on the X and the Y. And if we need to add more element styles, we just select our new element style and create a new one, and we can enable it or disable it. So we can create up to 8 different element styles. So now the one difference between the sText and your Text Plus node that I mentioned before is, again, this is in our little shape ecosystem. So we could bring in, say, an ellipse, and we could bring in a Boolean. And we can change that to subtract. And I'm not sure why our little shape is doing that. Let's disable our outlines. Let's fix our text here. Actually, let's go ahead and refresh our text. Shape. Text. Let's change our size up. And now we've got our text being booleaned out of our little ellipse here. So again, we can add whatever we want in our little shape ecosystem here, or we can bring it into our 3D system. So we could bring in a render, a camera, a merge. Let's bring a spotlight in. Let's make sure we select our lighting and shadows. I wish these were by default checked on because I often forget to check them on. And we can bring in an extrude node. So extrude 3D. We can go from our Boolean to our extrude, or extrude to our merge. If we look at this, we can transform our little shape back. Actually, let's look at our render. Let's transform that back. Let's grab our spotlight and let's flip it 180. Let's bring that back. There we go. Let's go to our extrude node and let's go ahead and give it some depth. And let's add an ambient light so we can see what else is going on here. And now we've got our little shape with our text in the 3D environment. So there we go, nice and 3D. It's a little thick. And then we can go ahead and do stuff like I don't know, animate our spotlight. So we can bring it all the way over on the X till it's out. Keyframe it, go to the end. Bring it over to the other side. And now we've got a little light flashing in our text there. Exciting. And we can go to our extrude node and we can change our color up if we want. And change our specular so it's a little shinier. And there we go. And then we can also, if we really wanted to, I believe somebody was asking what the pink bevel material input was for. And it's for exactly that. It's for your bevel material. So on any of these nodes, if you're not sure what they're for, if you highlight or put your mouse on it, it's going to tell you right next to it exactly what it is, or down here, as you mouse over it, it'll tell you in this little info section what it's for. So this being bevel material input, that means your bevel material, and you can input whatever you want. You can input a 2D material, you can input a video, you can input anything in here. Additionally, we can use 3D materials. So we can bring in a 3D material, input it into our bevel material. We can change the color. And now on our extrude node, our bevel is a different color. So that's what that pink input is for. So all these nodes are pretty much self-explanatory when it comes to stuff like that. Now there are some nodes, like say the 3D text, text 3D, which if you notice, there's no inputs on it right now. But if I go to our shading tab, and up top, if I select image, you notice it just popped up a new little white input. This is color image. Same with my bevel material. If I uncheck this use one material, now I've got the option for bevel material. But you might be like, where's my input? If you select image, now we've got a new input that says bevel texture. So it's right there. Anyway, getting back to our little shape node. So now you can do whatever you want with our cool little animation we've got going on here in the 3D world. So we could bring any 3D type element, like a bender node, and we can input a bender node, and we can bend it. We can taper it if we want. We can twist it. Or we can shear it. And again, this is all 3D, so we can animate it however we want. So that is the shape text node. I will see you in the next node breakdown.